All right, everyone. This is Dylan here, back for another episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy podcast. Today, I am very lucky to be welcoming to the show MJ Kuhn, internationally best-selling author of Among Thieves, Thick as Thieves. You got to make sure to say
Really
to really
enunciate on that one.
pronounce, yeah, that as. So Thick as Thieves, the ultimate SFF story Bible, also, which is a great resource for writers. And most recently, the topic of today's discussion, Killswitch Protocol, which is a cyberpunk thriller. The elevator pitch being Logan's Run meets The Giver with a dash of Cyberpunk 2077. You may also know MJ from her work as co-host of the SFF Addicts podcast and FanFi Addict Book Club. MJ has also been called the hardest working woman in the speculative fiction space. So welcome
I'm
to the
pretty sure
show,
I'm gonna
MJ.
get that tattooed, I think, actually. I like that title.
I will say I'm doing pretty well with you and the SFF Addicts crew because I think I also coined at one point, what was it, like I called Adrian the bad boy of
Oh, I
like
forgot that originated here. Yes.
yes.
Oh
Well,
my
I think it was
God.
on your show that
Okay,
I
but
said
with
it.
you.
And then I was like, this thing's on shirts now. Like
It
the
is. It
I
was
should
on
get one.
shirts in
It's
the
like the
merch store.
bad boy of SFF or something like that.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like, yeah. So if you get this tattooed, then I have to be just like careful what I say around you
Right?
folks because it's having a bigger impact than my
You are
words
laying
typically
down
do.
some edicts.
Yeah. So, MJ, we've had you on before. We had you on to talk about Among Thieves, which was awesome. I mean, right up my alley. So you've been more in the like heist fantasy space before, but you decide to switch it up, and really, no pun intended. I hate that I just said that, but
I love
you
that.
did, yeah. So you did decide to go with a cyberpunk thriller this time. For listeners that are first getting acquainted with Kill Switch Protocol, I know I already stole your elevator pitch, but um, how'd you like to describe the book and let readers know what they'll be in for?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. So for the elevator pitch for Killswitch, I have been struggling. Like I've been getting on podcasts and I sat down on the first one and I went to record and they were like, "So what's Killswitch about?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to prep a thing."
So did you just like come up with that on the spot?
So that little tagline is has been on, but like, when you want to tell people what it's actually about, I was like, "Oh no, Frozen," because I'm so used to pitching Among Thieves and Thick as Thieves. I've been pitching those for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kill Switch Protocol, this is what I've settled on. It is so it's set in a dystopian future society where an algorithm controls pretty much every element of the society, from what crops they grow to where people live to who lives and who dies. Every element of the society is controlled by this algorithm, and everyone is brainwashed into believing this is a good thing.
Hmm.
Like the algorithm is there's limited space in the society where they live. They need to control the population, and the part of the algorithm that decides who lives and dies, the kill switch protocol, if you will, is known as the ascent program. So the ascent program only selects people who have already achieved everything they were meant to achieve in this world. So it's a beautiful thing. They celebrate it if someone dies via ascent. And our story follows Liv Spencer, who is, we have three POVs. We follow Liv Spencer, who is our, kind of like our straight man, right? Like in
Hmm.
the comedy, right? She's like our normal, our everyday woman. She works in like a corporate office and she lives in a townhome with her husband and she's doing the thing. And she starts to wake up due to things that are kind of spoilery, to just how messed up the society that she's in is. Our other two POVs, we have Sinya Raimi, who is a member of the rebellion, who has long been awake
Hmm.
to how evil the society is. And our third POV is Raina Arthur, who is part of the board of directors that controls the algorithm. So yeah, that is the gist.
Yes, and this book is really awesome, really topical. I've had the chance to read it. I got an arc a while back. It was released probably like what a month ago or so, maybe more, like 2 months ago or so,
As of
MJ.
recording, it's been a
Um,
little over a month. Yeah,
yes.
July 7th it
Um,
came out.
yeah, so depending on when I get this episode out, the book has been out for a while, so I mean, I don't think you, dear listener, should need any more to go out and buy it right now. But yeah, it's a really awesome book. I think it has all the kind of elements of it that an MJ Kuhn fan would love. You know, you've got heist elements for sure.
Yeah,
I
I can't help
mean,
myself.
MJ can't help herself, of course. And you've also got the quips, the wisecrackers. I mean, we'll get to Emerson at some point, I'm sure. You've got a lot of fun, but you also have these really deep themes that I'm excited to explore more. It's very topical as well. So I really enjoyed the book. Go out and get it, but hear more about what's so awesome and why to do so. We're going to split this episode up. It'll be mostly spoiler free, and then we'll tag on right at the end with very clear spoiler warnings so no one gets surprised by anything. That's a relatively new book. But I always like to, it's mostly for me because then I walk out of the book being like, I have all these questions I actually want to ask them about like the biggest
Right.
events in the book. So we'll indulge me by allowing a little bit of time at the end, but don't worry, I'll give you a warning before that happens, and you can turn it down in your headphones well before any spoilers occur. So, MJ, one of the really interesting choices here, I think, is the choice to go into a cyberpunk space where you were like, pretty clearly doing the fantasy thing. Like, what motivated you or drew you to cyberpunk, and where in the process did you decide that was the kind of world this was going to be?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I didn't necessarily decide to like write a cyberpunk novel per
Hmm.
se. I just had an idea for this story, and it just happened. It needed to be cyberpunk. Like the initial seed for the story was really rooted in, uh, what I mean. The initial question was, what if we really do all have a purpose,
Hmm.
and once you reach it, you're supposed to die. And what if there was like this group of people that like got missed, got lost in the shuffle, and so they're just wandering aimless in the world. They have no purpose, right? That was the initial seed. And that seed happened in like, I want to say like 2015, maybe 2016, like a long time ago. And I just
Yeah.
jotted it down in my notes app on my phone, right? Like I was like, oh, what an interesting, maybe this will be something. And then the events of recent years have happened. And I was like, what if I made this anti-capitalist propaganda? I
You
mean, not,
balance the weight a little bit coming from the other side of
where
yeah.
I was like, oh, because then I started questioning, right? Like when I was genuinely, when I was planning out the story or thinking about conceptualizing how to write it, I was like, okay, well, what decides, right? If we live or if we've achieved everything we're supposed to achieve, like what
Hmm.
is it that decides? I was like, maybe it's like some alien entity, maybe there's like a god, I wasn't sure what direction it's
Yeah.
going, and then I was like, maybe it's like an algorithm, and then I was
Mm.
like, well, if it's an algorithm, I don't trust it, you know.
Right.
And so then that turned into, we have this kind of techno-fascist regime that is kind of ruling over the population, and that obviously lends itself super well to cyberpunk. When anytime you've got people rebelling against techno-fascism, feels like a natural fit.
Yeah. That's really interesting, right? You could have gone with the kind of more, uh, I guess it would be like a little further away from reality of like, oh, it's this God. And maybe
Yeah,
like if people kind of see through the veneer, they can start to make connections. Oh, that's kind of like, but Cyberpunk felt like a natural fit, it seems like, to take it at least far enough away from our actual world, though. How far enough away is a great question. Some of us might
yeah.
wonder, maybe
Say,
not
I'll tell you,
that
it's a
far
lot
away.
closer to
Um,
reality now than it was when I wrote the
in
first
20,
draft, which
oh,
is
yeah.
horrifying.
And especially in 2015. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I think you mentioned that at some in-person events, you were getting some jokes from people that this was a nonfiction book.
Yes.
So, it's really topical. I mean, right? The idea of uh, algorithms in general and how much they determine about our lives at this point, right? We're all stuck in our own social media algorithms and whatnot, and they can dictate the way that you think about things, oftentimes without you even realizing.
Yeah.
But this cranks it up to 11 by giving the algorithm control over whether you live or die. And uh, I mean, I think it's a super cool idea. And the capitalist piece to it is you tied it up in like the world of work, right? Like pretty much, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much anyone who is reaching their purpose is doing so by achieving something in like the workspace. Like people
Yeah,
don't really achieve their purpose through like, being a great family member or something.
for
Does
sure. Yeah,
that
which
tie in?
what we kind of discover, what discover. It's pretty clear from the first time you see it from anyone's eyes other than Liv is the algorithm is it is designed originally to just optimize society for because okay, we're in a post-nuclear war society and there is radiation everywhere and we have this like society that is encapsulated within a bubble. It's a city state
Hmm.
called New Everetta. That's where our story takes place. There's very limited footprint for where people can live, and limited food, limited everything. So the algorithm is introduced as a way to make sure pretty much, oh, well, everyone's carrying their weight, right? Which now, though, the algorithm gets kind of co opted and it is
Hmm.
controlled by this board of directors who are the CEOs and owners of all of the major corporations that power New Everetta. And so it turns into more of a well, as soon as you're not profitable anymore, as soon as you can't work anymore, or if you are causing trouble in some other way, well, maybe it's your time.
Right. And yeah, and Reina is the character that gives us the insight into what things actually look like behind the scenes for the board. So was she a character that you like had uh, always thought would be important to provide in the book, or were you like starting to realize that, oh, these like shadowy figures that are the board, like you almost need to like quote unquote humanize them a little bit to understand like what's wrong with the society in the right way? How did that
Yeah.
play out?
So I knew I wanted to tell the story from three different like strata of the society, right?
Hmm.
So Liv is like right in the middle. Sinya is living in, well, she's living kind of off the grid, I suppose, but that's for later. But and then Reina though is at the very top. She's a billionaire. She's a CEO. She's living in a penthouse in the fancy part of town, right? And I always knew I wanted to include that internal voice, right? The voice that actually is part of this uh whatever board, this board that controls things because it gives me as a writer and then now as the readers the opportunity to see okay, sometimes a power structure looks a certain way from one angle and looks a different way from another angle. And I think Reina is a somewhat sympathetic character, but she's not designed to be super sympathetic because she still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately she has attained this level of power and she is going to do pretty much anything that it takes to hold on to that power. Um, but I did also want to include that because we see that even Reyna fears the Killswitch Protocol. Even Reyna fears this algorithm. And because she is part of the group that controls it, but there's an awful lot of politicking that goes on behind the scenes because she is only one of the board.
Yeah. And I think that that speaks to one of the themes of your book, which is the idea that like no matter how powerful you get, no matter what, like when you have this kind of uh, algorithm or just like system that is this powerful, like we everyone becomes beholden to it, and there's just like no real escape from it. Like there's the almighty algorithm is basically more powerful than any individual person could be or could get, and that's what's I think even more frightening about it.
Yeah, well, and one of the central like themes, if I can sound kind of wanky for a second, but the central ideas, topics that I wanted to discuss or think about in the book is this idea of the trade-off between convenience and
Yeah.
freedom, right? So the algorithm controls whether you live or die via a chip. That everyone, when they're a baby, they have a chip that is implanted in
Hmm.
their skull because this is cyberpunk, and we do that, and it's fun. But the chip controls everything. The chip will just open your house door when you get home
Yeah.
because it knows it's you. It's your music player. It's your communication device. It's got your medical records. If you have a medical emergency, that's fine. Help is already on the way because your chip has already notified paramedics, right, to come
Hmm.
save you, which is all very convenient and sounds very good until you think a little deeper and go, okay, my this chip can send my information to the paramedics because it's tracking my location and my vitals all the time.
Hmm.
That's now we're okay. Is it more convenient or is it more intrusive, right? And that
Yeah.
it becomes a really central idea as we get into the rebellion, which is another one of the themes I wanted to explore in it. um, the complications that come with rebellion. And one
Yeah.
of the reasons why the rebellion is so complicated is because of how ingrained these chips are into everyday life. People rely on them for everything.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes total sense, right? Like and it that's such a great parallel for the world that we're living in today. It's like we're all kind of inextricably tied to the things that many of us hate, and every single thing that is making us I guess live more convenient lives. We're also
Yeah.
making all of these sacrifices to
Oh, yeah.
make
Like,
them
how many
happen.
apps have you had to download on your phone just to park in a public parking
Yes.
lot? Right? Or, or do you remember the last time you left home without your phone on accident? You feel
Right.
naked. Which I hate that I feel
I
that way.
I
But
literally am cannot do that anymore because, and I say literally, I mean it, like because uh, well, I can, but I would be locked out of everything in my apartment complex because the apartment complex I just moved to, you need your phone. We don't even have like fobs. Like
oh
you
my
need
gosh,
your
the phone
phone
is
to
a
quit. It's
thing.
basically like the chip. I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for it to kill me if I have some success in my work life because it's like I used to do this thing with my partner where we'd like be like, oh, we got this idea from like ironically like an Instagram reel, but like the idea was do like 90s walks is what they were calling them. And it's like, let's just leave our phones and just
Yeah.
like
Go
go
for a walk.
and enjoy each other's company to the best ability that she can enjoy my company. I of course enjoy hers, but we would go for these walks where it's just like, oh wow, we have to like talk to each other completely and just like look at the surroundings and not check if we don't know a fact. We could
I
just
was
like
literally just
talk
gonna
about
say
it.
that would be the hardest
Like,
thing for me, or has been when I've done phone detox
yes.
nights. The thing that always almost gets me is when I'm like, oh, what was the name of that person, that
Yes.
actor from that thing, whatever, and I can't just Google it. And I'm like, then, but it's like, oh my gosh, how pathetic that I'm like, I need to be able to Google the fact all the time instead of just sitting and thinking on it like I would have once done, you know?
Right. It's like living in uncertainty is like a thing that we're increasingly incapable of doing.
Yeah.
But it also what I started to realize is like it robs you of some of the like interesting things about conversation. Like I was thinking about like, this is kind of a silly example, but before uh, like searching things on the phones was like so easy, or even maybe possible. I remember having like conversations as like a teenager where you'd be like debating who won the Super Bowl like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, I'm pretty sure it was the Steelers or whatever. And it's like, that's a whole type of conversation we can't even have anymore, which is like debates about like what actual event occurred or
Yeah.
something, like, which is like, I don't know if that has any value in society, but I kind of miss having those kind of conversations because they're
Well, that's like,
ridiculous.
I think like there is value. I think the more we're seeing it more, like another jump forward of this particular issue
Yes.
with AI. But it's, when I was a kid, I had a dozen phone numbers memorized. I knew my home, I knew all my friends'
Yes.
houses, I knew my grandma, whatever. I had all these phone numbers memorized. I I have my mom's phone number memorized now because it's still the same as it was when I
Yeah.
was a kid. I know my own phone number.
That's good.
I don't even know my boyfriend's phone number. Like if I didn't have my phone and I needed to call him, I couldn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it's because we've become so reliant on the technology to just like outsource that task for us. And it's the same as like remembering stuff or like having those debates about the facts of the past. And then now with people, it's troubling. They're Instead of reading and trying to comprehend something, so many people are now just dumping an article or whatever into
Right.
ChatGPT or Claude and asking it to summarize in bullet points for them. Stuff like that, where it's like, okay, are we going to lose this ability to read critically? You
Yes.
know, we as, I mean, I would say I'm not doing that, so I'm not going to lose that skill. But like, as a society, the royal we.
Yes. And further generations. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just maybe like 2 weeks ago, I texted my best friend, and he's been my best friend since we were five. One of my best friends. This isn't Charles. So
I was
Charles
just
will
going to
be
say, is
mad.
it
Yes.
Charles? Because we all
No,
know him.
well, Charles is now it's like, oh, who's my best? Charles and I are also best friends, but this is one of my other best friends who was also a childhood close friend. And the I texted him like what I thought was his phone number when we were like kids, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Is this your like childhood phone number?" And he was like, I think so. Why?" And I was like, "I just want to feel alive again." Like it's like, it's just like I just want I don't I don't
You're
know
like,
why I was like it
I
was like
just want to
important
know.
to me.
I need this. I need
Yeah.
this, buddy.
Yes,
Give this
yeah.
to me.
So because he was like not sure, and I was like, well, like ask your mom. Like I was like bothering like generations of his family just
To
so I
get
could be
that old phone
like,
number.
do I have this? Like, is this information still in there somewhere?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God. Amazing.
we are moving closer and closer to New Averita
Right?
as
Every
we
day.
speak. Yeah, I
Oh God.
mean, like, yeah. So as we continue to descend in that direction, we'll be monitoring all these things. So. MJ, I want to make sure that we talk a bit about all the characters because I think that we've talked a little bit about Liv, a little bit about Reina, and how do you pronounce? Is it Sit? You're gonna have to
Sinya.
bail me out. Sinya.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not
Uh,
intuitive, but
And those are our point of view characters. They give us kind of these three different versions of society, like or interpretation of the society around you. But some of the most interesting characters, I would say, are also these like secondary characters we don't get point of views for. My favorite being Emerson. So
You are not
uh,
alone there. I have
yeah,
a lot of
he's
Emerson fans.
yes, yes, and Emerson also has a tuxedo cat. And as a tuxedo cat dad myself,
You have a
I
tuxedo
was
cat?
I do,
Okay, you're
yes.
gonna have to send me pictures after this call, just so
I will
you know.
send you pictures of socks. Yeah, I think because you posted these pictures of all the characters on your Instagram, and I was super pumped when I saw that
Yes.
Black Hat, right? Is
Yes,
the
his cat's name is Black Hat, and Black Hat has also become such a favorite character for people that I literally made stickers of him. So if
nice.
anyone comes to see me at a live event, I have stickers for the
There
Black
you
Hat
go.
fan club.
Yes. And are they, you have live events coming up, MJ? Do you
I
want to
do,
plug
I
them?
do. I'm gonna be at Worldcon in LA, or
Hmm.
Anaheim, California, later this month, so at the end of August, and then I'm going to be at Armadillo Con in Austin, Texas,
Cool.
in September. So if you're coming to either of those, come say hi. And assuming I still have stickers available, I will give you a sticker of Black Hat.
Nice. Does he have a pink nose or a black nose? He has a pink nose,
He has
right?
a
I'm
pink
trying to,
nose.
yeah, because our cat has a black nose, and that's his signature
His signature vibe.
characteristic. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And his
Uh,
name is Socks, which is so cute. I
yes.
can't.
Yes, he's great. I'll send you a picture, but the uh, the Emerson of it all. So he's like a hacker, which is always a very interesting character, but he's also got this kind of like clever, smart ass element to him. So tell me about the inspiration and the, I imagine, fun you had writing with Emerson.
Yeah, Emerson is one of my favorite characters too. So he is, yeah, he's our hacker. He's our guy in the chair, basically, right? So
Hmm.
like when our rebellion characters go out on missions where they're little heists or whatever, Emerson is, back at his computer talking through their earpiece, helping with surveillance and all of the things like that. Um, he's the youngest of the crew by far. He joined the crew when he was just a teenager. He is in his 20s. That's another like element that I had fun with in the story is none of the main characters are young. Like Liv is the youngest of them and she's like mid 30s. So yeah, Emerson is young, he's in his 20s, but he's like an old soul. Like he never leaves the townhome where, or the penthouse rather, where he's doing his computer work, but he always wears a full three-piece suit. And he's just kind of sassy. He's got a big mouth on him because he knows he is so integral to the rebellion that he gets away with
I
saying
love
some
that
stuff that
idea.
would probably get other people decked in the face. But he's a little untouchable for the most part. So yeah, that's Emerson. I absolutely love him. He was really really fun to write. If you were a fan of like the witty banter in any book that has it, but like the banter in Among Thieves, is something that people call out that they enjoyed a lot. You will probably enjoy the banter between Senya and Emerson as well. So
Yeah, no, it's there's a few characters in here that are very much Charles and I like to say sometimes like uh, fans of blah 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 will feel at home in blah blah, and I would say that uh, Sinya and Emerson feel like in different ways like very classic MJ Kuhn type
oh yeah.
characters.
Like when I
Yeah,
wrote Senya, I was like, this is home base. Like she's a rebel, she's a badass mercenary. She has a big ass rifle instead of a
a hand
sword
axe,
or
or
axes, but
well, I was thinking about axes because
yeah,
uh, Raya or
Raya,
Raya, how do I
yeah.
pronounce? Yeah, in Among Thieves. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, this is an MJ thing.
Oh
Is
yeah, that
like
I felt very at home writing Senya.
yes. Uh, so those are really awesome characters. And they both play a role in this revolution. I know you've talked about the idea that in addition to this being an anti-capitalist scream into the void where you are trying to, that's, I think sometimes you'll throw the word feral in front of that. Um, so I'm sure it depends on how you're feeling that given
It just
day.
depends on how feisty I am that
Yeah.
day.
So there's clearly this element of like, okay, this regime needs to be toppled. But as you've spoken a bit about before, uh, the revolution is messy, and you have a character, I think, and you can go into this to the extent that it feels appropriate in the spoiler-free part for you, but I think Torin is a character. He's like the head of the rebellion who most symbolizes that to me, like the
Yeah.
dangers, I guess, of revolution, even when your cause is at least theoretically righteous. So yeah, t tell us a little more about that theme and Torin's role in it.
Yeah, well, just I've read so many sci-fi and fantasy books about rebellion where the focus is on toppling the king, burning down the
Yes.
system, overthrowing the fascist government, right? Doing all these things, which yes, those are righteous goals, but rarely have I seen, and not never, right? Like obviously there are other works that explore the what comes after, but I wanted to do something a little different, right? I love a good, yeah, let's just burn everything down story, but I wanted something a little bit different for Kill Switch. So what we explore here is like, okay, if we are just going to topple a system and not just because the system deserves to be toppled, but we don't have a plan for what comes after, what's to say something nastier won't just rise up in its
Hmm.
place? And I have often said, like, people are like, oh, what are like some of the books and movies and stuff that inspired Killswitch Protocol? And I kind of tongue in cheek, but not really, will go, most of what inspired Killswitch Protocol was actually nonfiction, the news, right? So it's
Right.
like, how have we seen time and time again in like even recent history and in the past 30 years, 50 years, how many times has a despot been toppled with no plan for what comes after?
Yes.
And then what comes after ends up being even worse. And so I wanted to have, or arguably worse, right? Or just as bad. I wanted to have Killswitch kind of explore that idea of, we have Liv is, are the most main of our main characters. And she starts to question as she gets involved in the rebellion, where she's like, okay, where is, on the back cover copy or the line between, rebellion and terrorism? Where is it?
Hmm.
And it can be a kind of sticky question. And that's something that we really explore throughout the book. And I was really nervous, honestly, about how it would be received. Because of that, I was worried that people might read it and be like, oh, this is kind of apologetic for this
Mm.
fascist regime or whatever. And that's why I call it my feral scream into the void, because it's meant to be like, okay, these problems are all such massive issues. And there's so many layers to each one of them. And as just an individual lone actor, it can feel so powerless. You can feel like you
Yes.
can't fix it. You can't make it all better because as one person, like, can you really? Um,
I
so
mean,
yeah, I've been delighted that people seem to really be vibing with it though.
yeah, I mean, how dare you approach this issue with nuance, MJ? This
This is the
is
age of the
like,
internet, Dylan.
yes,
Nuance is dead.
yes, nuance is dead and I've killed it. I was like,
Right?
yes, no, you keep nuance alive and well. I mean, to me, this is. Uh, and I don't think this is a spoiler, even though it's kind of something grappled with late in the books. But I'll edit it out if I even have that capability. If you don't like this, MJ. But the I think when the characters are grappling with the idea that like so in the cyberpunk setting, I think it lends itself really well. They'll have like arm weapon attachment kind of things,
Yeah.
and if they were to topple the system, not only would they struggle to get into, like me, if I go on a 90s walk in
Yeah.
my
Then
apartment
you're
complex and then
locked
I'm
out.
locked out forever, um, not only would they not be able to get into their door, which maybe they could work around a little bit, but they're like arms would stop working.
Yeah.
And like, it's like you have to be willing to sacrifice and give up literal, like, functioning parts of your body, among many other things. And for me, I'd like put myself in their shoes and I'd be like, again, this idea, I don't know if we talked about this on the episode or a little bit before, but just this idea of like the uh, the amount of convenience and just like li life functioning that needs to be sacrificed on an individual level to create this societal change is wild and with no guarantee, like you're saying, that it's necessarily going to result in anything better. It's like
Yeah.
really, really, I think, thoughtfully done. So I was very excited about
Thanks.
that
Yeah, it's
aspect.
just it goes back to, what we were talking about where it is. The technology is so ingrained in every part of life. Their finances, right? Like all their banking is
Yes.
in their chip.
Well,
Okay, so
yeah.
now nobody has money. Do we really think that that's not going to cause mass panic in a society that functions as a very late stage capitalism society, right? Uh,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, when there's no good answer, what the heck do you do? Is, I guess, kind of maybe the central question of Killswitch.
Yes, and I totally saw that, and that's why I took away the main moral of the story, which is keep your money stuffed in a mattress, which is
Bury gold bars in your
yes,
yard.
which is I take that away as the moral of so many stories.
I'm just
So
gonna turn everyone into a prepper. Fine.
I think that this has a good chance of that. It's
Excellent.
definitely the most drawn I've felt toward prepping.
Toward the
Um,
prepper lifestyle.
yes, which sounds, I mean, maybe I'm rolling in the wrong circles, but for some reason, like my head went toward like colonoscopy when you were saying, you're like, oh yeah, we're all going to be preppers. And I'm like, well, it is good
Right,
to, I
we're
mean,
over 30.
yes.
You've gotta keep that health in check, man.
Yes, I mean Emerson, he doesn't have
Yeah,
to,
Emerson's
but
fine. The
like
rest of
at this
us,
stage, yeah,
we
Liv
need
and the rest
regular
of the
physicals.
crew, yes, regular physicals. It doesn't hurt to just get a routine,
You know,
colonoscopy at this
this was our
stage. So
PSA for this episode.
yes, yes. If people are listening, they'll be stuffing their money into their mattresses and
Yeah,
getting
and scheduling
colonoscopies.
a doctor's
Yeah,
appointment and,
right.
you
And
know,
the latter is probably good. The former, I
eh,
mean, who's to say?
potentially questionable.
Yes. I did think so. I'm gonna throw two, I guess, pieces of media out at you that came to mind for me when I was reading out. So one was I would say Fight Club because I mean, I don't know how much this gives away a twist that of a movie that's like from the
Yeah, I would say,
90s,
okay,
but
spoiler alert
like
for a 27-year-old movie or however old
yes,
Fight Club
thank you, MJ. But and Fight Club's also like I think people don't realize this is that Fight Club is also like probably less feral and maybe less into the void once you get Brad Pitt involved, but like a
Fair.
kind of anti-capitalist or at least anti-consumerist like
Oh yeah.
scream in
I say
itself.
Fight Club is
Like
I think one of the most misinterpreted films.
totally agree.
Like it's up there.
Yes. It's like because it's one of my favorite movies, and then people are sometimes shocked maybe or
Well, because that's the thing.
disappointed.
Like there are
Like,
two camps of people that really like Fight Club, and one of
right.
them they're very
Yes.
different camps from each other. The Venn diagram doesn't that's the only overlap point, perhaps.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I always shudder to say it because I'm worried they'll think I'm in the wrong
You're
camp.
like, oh God, I
Um,
promise I'm not a dude, bro.
yeah. They usually sort that out pretty quick, but the but some people don't know of the other camp's existence, and
Yeah.
then they're like, but yeah, it's very anti-consumerist at least. But I'll say, and now that they've had ample time to deal with this spoiler of Fight Club, it ends with them just like destroying all the buildings that are going to like it's gonna like clear everyone's debt, but it's also going to just absolutely annihilate the like economic
Right.
system that's built in place.
Economic
Right.
collapse.
And it's like, but what they do is they just let Where Is My Mind play by the Pixies and kind of, shrug their shoulders at what comes next, which is fun in itself. But I did appreciate it. And I don't think they're like, oh, everything's going to be great because Tyler
No, but that's
Durden
like,
stepped
yeah.
in.
See,
But
there's
it's like,
space for stories like that though, where
yes,
it's very in character for the characters in that film to make the decisions that they
yes.
do. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah.
it makes you grapple with some of this idea of like, okay, like they just like destroyed everything. Like I'm kind of pumped at that idea, but also I would be scared.
Kind of leery.
Um,
Yeah.
anyway, sounds like Fight Club was not in the headspace during the writing process, but I wanted to throw that out there. The other one that maybe has a chance to have been in the headspace, I'm curious. Final Fantasy VII? Does
Oh,
any is this the first? Because
no,
I was
that's the
like, you're a
first time
big
I've heard that
gamer.
comp. Okay, all right. I'm a big gamer, but this is don't
Oh
cancel me,
no.
guys. I've never played any of the Final Fantasy games. I
Oh,
keep
okay.
meaning to, and actually there's a big remaster that just came out for I think it's Final
Yes.
Fantasy VII that I've been
Yes.
hearing really good things about. For the remaster. I mean, obviously I've heard good things about the original for since the 90s or whatever, early aughts when it came out, but um yeah, I've never played it. So I can't tell
Check
you.
it out because there's like interesting. There's a character that's like you could almost think if you had played Final Fantasy, I'd almost think like Torrin was like a
Ooh,
subversion of that
interesting.
character in some way. I was like, and I think they both Torrin has the like attached
Yeah,
gun.
he's got an
There's
arm. One of his arms is a prosthetic arm with a gun on it. Pew.
So this is like a total. I'm blanking on the character's name in Final Fantasy 7, but
Yeah, the
I'm
audience
trying
is
to.
screaming. Let me see if I can Google it. Oh,
Um,
look at we're doing
uh,
it again where we're Googling the fact
yes,
instead of thinking about it.
Barrett. Yeah, I know. Well, I'll use the excuse of I don't want the poor listeners to be in distress, but by screaming the name Barrett Wallace is the loud, big-hearted lead. I
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
This is the first thing that comes up is the AI overview, of course, as we talk about like this. But
Right.
Barrett Wallace is the loud, big-hearted leader of Avalanche, which is their rebellion, with a gun arm.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Look at this guy.
yeah. Yeah. So I was like, is Torin like sort of a play on, as you can see, Barrett is loud and big-hearted. Torin is probably loud, I
He's
imagine.
loud. He's loud and he's got his heart's in the right place. But,
Yes.
you know,
I would say so too. Yeah. Like at least his principles are, but then,
yeah,
you
he'll
know, we
stand on business, but perhaps to his own detriment at times.
So, MJ, before we get into a brief spoiler, of the filled version of this, one thing I wanted to make sure to ask you about, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but the transition from traditional publishing to indie publishing this book. I imagine that you got a totally different perspective from doing that. So I'm just super curious about what that was like for you. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's pros and cons as are with everything, but maybe there's some authors listening that are thinking of transitioning one way or the other.
for sure. Well, okay, so I will get on my soapbox for a second here. But I
Mhm.
think that for mid-list authors, so like in the trad side of my career, I am, yeah, I'm an international bestseller. I hit the Sunday Times list with my first book, but I am not big USA Today, New York Times best-selling author. My publisher is not sending me on tours. I am not, you know what I mean,
But
selling
you
out
are the hardest working
bookstores.
woman,
Yeah, I
which
will.
then after you like try to, MJ's being very modest. She's had great success with her books, but the point taken, it's
Yeah, but
it's
it's like,
tough out there when you're not Brandon Sanderson for,
right. And
I
that's the
mean,
thing
almost
where
every
it's
author. Yeah.
Like I have a full-time day job. I have, even with my three books out, I make money from them, but I make like part-time college job money from them, right? Like I don't make an income from them. I am a firm believer after all my years on SFF Addicts, meeting and talking with dozens, hundreds of other authors on all sides of the, all camps. Um, as a mid-list author, I think the most reliable path to full-time writing income is to go hybrid, to have some of your projects
Hmm.
go out in the trad space and some of your projects go indie. And I hand selected Killswitch. I've got several manuscripts with my agent, on the trad side of things right now. But with Killswitch, I was looking at, kind of the trends of what's been selling in indie, the types of readers that exist within indie, right? Like, the camps of readers. Like there's massive fantasy audience for indie readers. There's a massive romance audience for indie readers, and there's a
I've,
massive sci-fi
yeah.
audience for indie readers. I mean, I'm sure there's indie books that can sell across the spectrum. Lit RPG is obviously probably one of the biggest ones right now.
Hmm.
But I was like, okay, I think Killswitch is one that I want to try and take indie and see how it goes. Um, the experience was awesome, honestly. I mean, so again, if you're a mid-list author, you are not getting a lot of publicity support from your publisher. So in terms of, booking myself on lovely podcasts like this, hand selling my books at events, finding conventions like WorldCon, like ArmadilloCon, and applying for them and getting into panels and all of that. I was already doing all of that stuff on the trad side. My publisher wasn't setting that stuff up for me. Largely, I'm not being ungrateful. They did send me to a couple. They got me on a panel at New York Comic Con a couple years ago, and they got me on New York, or not New York, National Book Festival in DC a couple years ago. So, but largely, I've been doing the promo stuff myself, anyways. So that wasn't a big adjustment for indie. Um, the biggest adjustment was probably having control over the
Hmm.
physical book.
Mm.
Like I've always had control over the words inside the book, but like I worked with Katerina Belikova, my cover artist, and we did revisions and design and different character blockings and color palettes and whatever
It's a
back and forth.
beautiful cover, by
To
the
oh my
way.
gosh, she crushed it. Like look at this thing. It's she
Yeah.
she did a great job. She does great work. But I got to, have a say in what the cover looks like, which I adore my covers. For Among Thieves and Thick as Thief, it's Chris McGrath. He knocked it out of the park. But I got to see it early. You know what I mean? Like that's the extent I was involved in that. Um, Also, like I got to do kind of cool stuff. Like if you look at the internal or interior design, um, which I worked with Adrian, my co-host from SFF Addicts, he did my interior. But like you don't necessarily get to pick to do cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
With or like even like this title page where it's got the whole full character artwork, or sorry, cover artwork. So, and then, hiring my own editor, doing that whole process. The biggest issue or hurdle is the reason why I didn't go indie in the first place, actually, is financial, right? Like I
Mm.
invested probably close to 3 grand up front to get cover art, interior, the editing and copy edits, and some promotional artwork and stuff like that. Buying barcodes so that, uh, or sorry, ISBNs so that my books can be stocked in bookstores and not just on Amazon.
Mm.
So it is a big financial investment upfront. I did then get lucky though. My agent sold my audiobook rights.
Mm.
And the advance from that did end up covering a lot of those costs early, which was a godsend. But yeah, so if you're in the trad space and you're thinking about going indie, or if you are a newer writer, you haven't published anything yet and you're wondering which path is right, I would recommend take a look at the indie market, see what books are out there, see what types of books already have a large readership. Uh, I would recommend then at that point, if your book that you have fits into one of those categories, then you now have a question of what do you value more, distribution or control?
Mm.
That's to me the main thing. Distribution is what you get when you go trad. Among Thieves and Thick as Thieves, did I get a ton of publicity and sent on tour and la 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 la? No. But was my book stocked in every Barnes and Noble in America when it came out? Yes. that's visibility you're not going to get when you go indie. You just can't. My books is in a few bookstores. All my local indies have it, because I've made those relationships and, pitched it to them and stuff and they've stocked it. But um, yeah. So anyway, sorry, that was a long soapbox. But basically, if you're considering indie or trad, do you value distribution more or do you value control more? And then also, do you have the budget to spend a couple hundred to a couple $1,000 upfront that you will hopefully get back in sales to invest in the cover art to make it look professional and put together so people are willing to, we say don't judge a book by a cover. Everybody does though,
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you could probably like teach a class on this, MJ. I was like, this is like you just wind her up and let her
I just
go.
went
I'm
I
like,
sorry, I
that is
went a
like a
little
wealth of info. No, I'm like,
went a little TED Talker.
I should have asked this earlier instead of burying it at the end because this is such good advice.
We're
So,
just making
like,
sure people are invested in
this
your
is,
show. This
yeah,
is for the real ones.
all the good stuff
The real
happens.
fans of
You
Friends
have to,
Talking Fantasy.
yes, yes. So, all right, yeah, that's a spoiler-free part of our discussion of Killswitch Protocol. Go out uh, and buy it. I mean, buy that physical copy because that is just.
It's
I
gorgeous. It's
love
available in
blue
hardcover
covers.
too. I
Yeah.
haven't had one
Oh,
with me here,
nice.
but
Yeah,
there's some
blue
in that room.
covers are awesome. So definitely go get that physical, or if you don't want the physical, if you don't have a beautiful like bookshelf setup like MJ does, if you're watching the video here, um, then you can always get on Kindle as well.
Yeah, it's
So,
on Kindle Unlimited too. So if you have Kindle
ooh,
Unlimited, you can just read it as part of your subscription there. So,
nice.
yeah.
Yes, do that as well. So MJ, we have a little bit of time here to indulge my questions that are spoiler filled. So everyone who doesn't want to spoil, come on, you've had ample time, but turn down in your headphones if you
Right.
don't want
Warning,
spoilers.
warning, warning, spoilers.
Yes. At a certain point, I imagine the person like, because I've been here, they're like washing the dishes, and then they're like, no, like the
Like, oh God,
spoilers
my
are
hands are all
coming. There's a
wet. But
warning, but my
they're
hands are
like
covered in
in the
soap,
shower and they can't.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've absolutely been there.
but you've now had ample time. So the thing that was they're like, I think two scenes I really want to make sure to get the chance to discuss. One is the choice to kill Emerson, which was like
Yeah.
absolutely
Sorry,
wild. It was one of
guys.
those, I know. I was like, uh, the way you treat your characters is just messed up, MJ.
I
That was
am
like
not a benevolent
the
God. No.
no. You think that algorithm is bad?
Right.
MJ
You know
is
what's worse?
yes. So the it was one of those moments, like every once in a while I have one of these moments where like you think you kind of know what a scene is going to be, and then you're like reading it, and then like something happens that just like isn't at all in your like schema of what was about to just happen. And you have to like stop. You're like, wait, was that what I thought that
Did I
was?
just read what I think I
Like, yeah, I
read?
was like the one of the chief moments for me with that is like you think of something like the Red Wedding or whatever, right? Like you're like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
Wait, that's not supposed to happen here. But this was one of those moments where I read it, I was like, is that like Emerson's dead? Like, and I went
Right.
back.
Like he can't be.
So yeah, first off, this two-part question. One is how dare you, and the other part is just like, yeah, what went into that choice?
Yeah. So I have gotten more than one angry DM,
I'm
jokingly
sure.
angry DMs, from people that were like, "My baby, how did you do?
Yes.
Why would you do this to me?" That's part of why I did it. As an author, we are just manipulating the emotions of our readers. And so I guess that's not the whole reason, but I would be lying if I said that when I decided to kill Emerson, I wasn't like, "Ooh," and it's probably going to be one of people's favorite characters, and they'll be sad, so that's good. Uh, but no, I wanted to really underscore just the how complicated this rebellion really is. And with Torin, I wanted to just show just how far gone he is, right? Like
Hmm.
Torin, he comes from this really rough background. He has seen how screwed up the society is. I don't actually know how much of his backstory made it into the final draft. I can't remember. But he was his both of his parents got reach descent, got switched
Hmm.
early on in his life. He and his brother were sent to live in basically an orphanage in a care facility that's run by a corporation here. And his brother starts running drugs in the underworld, and his brother dies. So, like, Torin has seen the evils of the world from every direction, and he is like done with all of it. And he happens to meet Emerson on the docks when Emerson is just a kid. Emerson has just, run away from his home. And Emerson has discovered at this point how to overcome the kill switch, right? How to escape it at least temporarily. And this is the seeds of the rebellion is Torin and Emerson meeting. That is how this little rebellion group begins. And how this little rebellion group ends is with Torin killing Emerson. Like
Yeah.
just I wanted to really it was just like a full circle moment. It's kind of like oh gosh, I don't want to spoil I guess Among Thieves and Thick as Thieves, but there's a character death in Thick as Thieves that people also get mad at me for. Uh and I often will say like and it's true where I once I decide to kill a character, I will go okay, is that actually like the logical conclusion to this scene? Let me make sure. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and if, as I sit there and I noodle on it and I try to draft it other ways and I try to see other ways things could go, and there's no other way that it actually rings true, then they gotta go, you know? And I
Yeah.
just felt like with Torin in that moment, his rebellion has been building and failed and been building and failed for so long. And he's been getting slightly more unhinged and slightly more reckless
Hmm.
over and over and over again. And now, when he perceives that he was at the finish line and he trips because of Emerson
Yeah.
and, a few others, I don't see any way where Torin doesn't kill him in that scenario and have it be believable. So yeah, I have been asked more than once by people when they have not read it yet. Uh, they see that there's a cat and they're like, okay, but do you kill the cat? And I'm like, I would never. And I don't kill the cat, but the cat still gets a sad ending. I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah. It's
So
messed up because we don't really know.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't know what
the cat's
happens to
okay.
him
The cat's okay. He's grieving though.
physically. Yeah.
He's grieving Emerson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty awesome don't pull your punches moment, I thought, because I think it's the same thing that you were just saying that stuck out to me about it was it felt true to the characters you've been I think, and this is the classic thing people complain about with like plot armor and blah blah blah, but I think when people get frustrated really is like when we've been told, hey, this character would do this thing because like a character would kill another character if this kind of thing happened, and Torn has been built up to be that kind of person.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, like it's kind of put up or shut up time with is Torn actually like that? Or have you been just trying to build a character that we claim is this like ruthless dude that would do anything for the revolution and would kill someone that betrayed him no matter how close they are, and
Yeah.
like you put up rather than shut up in that situation, MJ. So yeah, I was very impressed with that choice, as I really like when authors are willing to do that.
Just go
Because I
balls to the wall.
Yeah, because I want art to make me feel something. I mean, much like why I was sending my friend his childhood phone number, you just want to feel alive, you
I
know?
just
And
want to feel alive.
yeah, and unlike Emerson in
I
that
was just
moment,
gonna say,
yeah,
unlike Emerson, I just
right,
want to feel not like Emerson.
yes. Um, and there's a similar moment kind of where you went pretty brutal on a character with Ayla, I would say. That's I like that one as well because I mean you can speak to it, but Ayla's Liv's friend who also had her husband get switched, and he basically because Liv did too. I think we actually restrained ourselves from
Yeah, well, I
saying
was
that
gonna say
Liv's
it's one of those
husband got
things. It's in the back cover copy, but I really wrestled with putting that in the back cover
yeah
copy. Like, it's critical to moving the plot forward, but putting it on there does. spoil something a little bit. I don't know. You got it's back cover copy is so tricky because you got to balance, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's some pretty brutal moments where MJ does not treat her characters so kindly, but the
Honey,
the
the high
other
death toll.
scene, oh yeah, high death toll for sure. The other scene that stuck out to me that I really want to talk about is this. It was maybe my favorite scene in the book, and it's less action packed than what we're talking about perhaps before, but it's a scene where Reina like has finally figured out like, oh, I can solve the problem that the algorithm was originally invented to deal with, which is the scarcity of resources and blah blah blah. But then she's figured out, okay, like I can fix that. We can produce food um, and she brings it to the board, and in her head, the board, everyone's motivated by money, which is
Yeah.
a big part of what she's motivated by. And then she's confronted with this moment of uh, like, oh, I have a solution. It'll make us money. What could be wrong? And you get your like the quote is popu population control has become secondary to population control. Like where it's like, oh, everyone just is trying to get power here,
Yeah.
control people, not necessarily solve these problems or even make money, which is like the easy critique here. So tell me about that because that was like a standout moment for the themes for me.
Yeah, I just think like this is me again, like just drawing on the real world right now where it's I think there's a level of wealth that people reach where they know they're going to continue to amass wealth, so they don't really
Hmm.
need to worry as much about wealth and they turn their sights to power.
Yeah.
And we see it, I don't know, it comes this is maybe I guess I would say maybe this is where I lose some people, but if this next statement loses you, you probably wouldn't like this book anyways. But it's I don't believe there's any ethical billionaires. I don't believe that it is a possible thing to be a billionaire and to have that be ethical. Like that's just you're a dragon sitting on your hoard at that point. And
Hmm.
then you say, okay, but they can donate to just causes, and sounds all well and good, but at that point now this one person gets to decide what's a just cause. Like I just think that level of wealth gives an individual outsized control over society and over shaping it in a position they weren't even elected into being there, whatever. I
Hmm.
just strongly disagree with that. But we see here, I wanted the board to be in that stage of such
Yeah.
wealth has been amassed that like, yeah, we're gonna keep making money. That's great, but ultimately our sights are set higher now.
Yeah.
We've gained this control and this power over the populace. We're keeping it. We're holding on to that. We don't want to lose that level of power. And we see that even at the smallest levels. Any person that amasses, or not any person, but if we're again using the royal we, if we amass some level of control, some level of power over something, you don't want to lose that. It's, if it becomes threatened, this is where we see a lot of the political discourse that we have right now coming from is, people perceive whether or not that's accurate, that a rise in, some other people getting some rights could hurt, like
Hmm.
it's pie, could
Yeah.
could mean they get less of them, right? And that it makes people have this very visceral reaction where they will fight to keep the power that they've amassed.
Hmm.
And so we just see that on a very large, high scale level with the board. But yeah, that's poor Reina. Where it's not really poor Reina because she kind of sucks too, but uh, it's like she's trying to do the right thing for the wrong reasons, but she is trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
And this is where we see that not even the people up at the top, once we've given away enough of our control to these systems, like we were talking off air about like the flock cameras and stuff, where it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, they can do good stuff. They can be used to track down, violent criminals or find, kidnapped children before something bad happens. Like, sure, they can be used for this. But now that the infrastructure is in place, what's to stop that from being used for something else? And once now that it's here, we're all kind of beholden to this technology because it's here. And that's kind of what we're exploring with the board and the algorithm as well, which is the algorithm is here. The board is also beholden to the algorithm and to the power dynamics within that
Hmm.
leadership. Um, so yeah, it's just all messy. Everything's a mess.
Yes, and if you walk away feeling that from Killswitch Protocol, you probably got the themes pretty well. And that's well said, MJ, on that whole spiel in response. I think it's uh, yeah, another choice you made that was uh, like really interesting because it's almost like Reina comes off like naive that she would even think it's like the cynical thing you think sometimes is like everything's about money. It's like even
Yeah.
that is naive compared to like, well, actually, like money is about power. So yeah, it is a really, really cool scene. And you get your kind of like Bond villain line with the population
I know.
control.
Like you
Population
just really
control.
gotta underscore it sometimes, you know?
Yes. Yes. It's memorable. And MJ, every time you come on the show is memorable as well. Always have such a great time. That's why had to had to come back despite our hiatus to talk with you because always have such a fun time. Always enjoy your books so much. So I probably should have done this before we got into the spoiler part, but the places that folks can find you on the internet, which of course makes it so much easier to do so many things, even though it's stealing our privacy and data and
Right?
some of the things that bring our lives meaning. But yeah, but where on that wonderful
We're on
internet
the
can
internet
folks
hellscape. Yeah, you
find
can
you?
find me at mjkuhn.com is where all my information is. You can find me. I always say I'm on all the socials, but that's a lie. I mean, I have accounts, but I'm on Instagram. It's really the only place that I do anything. That's MJ Kuhn Books, all one word. And you can catch me on the SFF Addicts podcast. SFF Addicts Pod on Instagram. We're on there. Or on the FanFi Addict YouTube channel. So yeah, come find me. But also thank you for having me. It's always so fun to chat with you. And we love Friends Talking Fantasy over here.
Thank you, MJ. The feelings are definitely mutual. And thank you, dear listeners. I still have not figured out what my closing line is because Charles had his, and he's the only one that's allowed to say that. But thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time.